Today we're talking about planting my intention. All month they've been talking about this whole spring thing, this nature, going deeper, getting stronger in our beliefs, in our processes. And it is. We had the spring equinox just the other day, right? It's a time where things are shifting and energy is changing. It's time for spring cleaning. Yay. I'm sure you've heard of Wayne Dyer. He says, change the way you look at things and the things you look at will change. Probably heard of Louise Hay. She says, every thought we think creates our future. You've heard of Napoleon Hill? He says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. Ernest Holmes, he says, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. But not just philosophers, right? Not just people who are religious-based. We also have scientists that say, you choose the world you live in by choosing your thoughts. Or reality is what you think it is. Change your thoughts and you change your reality. Those are scientists. You know, the worldview we look through, the lenses that we see through, creates the world we live in. Right? So one of the things in the 17th century is we had these scientists that decided that we were a mechanistic world. We were a mechanical world. Everything was a conglomeration of the pieces, parts that were in it. Which means that we're logical, and we simply take things apart and we look at how they work, and we now understand the world around us. We are observers of what's happening. Descartes, Newton, and even Einstein supported the philosophy that we are parts of a whole. Parts of a whole. But then this crazy thing happened in the 1920s. There was a new discovery, a new concept was brought forward that we are not parts of a whole, we are creators of the whole. We help through our observation, through our expectation, through our anticipation, create the world around us. By the way, these are pictures of individuals who won Pulitzer prizes for quantum physics in the 1920s. What they discovered, and I know I've talked about it before, is that our observation and our expectations determine whether the particle, through the double splits, are either a particle or a wave. So what does that mean? What does that mean to us as a whole, our perspective of reality? We can step away from the pieces, parts, to being part of. We are all part of this reality. We create the reality through our thoughts. So I'm reading this great book. You know, I'm always reading a book. This one is called The Possibility Principle. And it talks about psychology, quantum physics, and how we live our lives. I love it. I'm about 3/4 of the way done. I said 3/4. That's good, because I thought I said 2/3, but that doesn't make sense. Anyway, going forward. So what does it talk about? It just explains, and the gentleman who wrote the book is Mel Schwartz, and he is a psychiatrist. And he talks about the wave and the collapsing of the wave. And when the wave collapses, what happens is we now have locked in this thought. We have locked in the possibility into something that is concrete. And this happens through our entire lives. Any time that we make a decision, we're no longer in the possibility. We are now in the trajectory of that of the decision. Let me give you an example. Actually, before I do that, I want to tell you a little story. So I'm a hospice chaplain by trade, and so I was out seeing patients last week, and I came across a gentleman who was struggling with faith, and which is great for me because then I, get to talk about all the stuff and the ideas and concepts and philosophies. So we started talking, and he said to me, Chaplain Rachel, how do I get faith? I don't have faith. I look around the world and I see the the gentlemen on television that are spouting religion and then they're sleeping with prostitutes. That doesn't make any sense in my head. Or you see the hurricanes come through and tear away, horrible results in our land. How can God create such disaster? And of course, he had other examples of the tragedies in the world. And so I said, faith, I think, comes from the inside out. It comes from us directly to God. Maybe we don't need, and I always talk in maybes because I'm not here to preach. I'm here to open and ask questions. Maybe, do you think it's possible that the relationship that I have with God is about me and God, and not about the hurricane, and not about the televangelist? Maybe it's something different that I need to work on inside of me and looking at the world around me, or the universe, the experience around me. And he said, okay, well, how do you get more faith? Do you pray for faith? And I said, oh, absolutely. We're taught that what we pray for will come to us. So yes, I pray for faith. But also, talking from personal experience, a lot of my faith comes from science. And he looked at me, his eyes got really big, and then they got really quizzical, and it was like, what? Because most of us go science and religion. They're totally separate things. But I don't believe that to be true, because when we look at the quantum physics, we see that there is an interaction, there is an intelligence going on right here, and that's what God is to me, this intelligence that creates opportunities, that connects us, that makes us all whole, and with each other, and as each other. And Stephanie, what an amazing writing that was. You were absolutely correct. I was like, oh, she wrote it. And then I was like, oh, wow, she wrote that? That was the truth. We are the whole, the complete. And so when we realize that, there is this disconnect of, if we are all that, if God is in me, as me, through me, then how is it that I still have suffering and pain, and I'm not who I want to be, and I don't have the relationship I want, and I don't have the financial abundance I want, and I don't have these, and if I'm supposed to have this beautiful, amazing life, why is that not happening? That's where quantum physics comes in. That's where the wave and the particle come into play. So going back to our thoughts. Thoughts versus thinking. So another story. When I was about 38, I went through this really bad breakup. And it was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And at that point in time, I was still having communications with my father. It was before he passed, and we were in a good space at that time. And so I was talking to Papa, and I said, I don't know why he left. I must not be very lovable. And my Papa said to me, why would you think that? And so, I've always been introspective. And I thought, well, when you left, because he moved out of town when I was 12 years old. He moved out of town, and he was gone for years. And I interpret that, my little 12-year-old self, as I wasn't lovable. He left me. I wasn't important enough for him to stay with me. And he said, Rachel, that was a lie you told yourself. Because the truth is, because I'm from Vegas, Las Vegas was killing me. He was an alcoholic, he was a gambler, and living in Las Vegas was killing him. And he had to leave in order to find a better way. Well, my 12-year-old brain didn't know that. It was just all about him leaving me. And he said to me, Papa said to me, Rachel, you are one of the most lovable people I have ever met. And in my brain, I went from this particle of I'm not lovable to another possibility. It shifted my entire life. This one thought changed everything. Have you had that experience? Because we make up stories all the time. So we have a thought, whatever that thought is. I'm in the middle of a situation, I get anxious. The thought says, you're not smart enough, you're not tall enough, you're not thin enough, you're not green enough, you're not whatever enough, right? That is our particle, that is our collapsed confinement that we have created at some point in time in our lives. And when we take that literal, we go, oh, my brain thought it, therefore it must be true. Then we are stuck in that collapsed confinement. But what if instead of saying, my brain thought it, it must be true, we say, is that true? Is there another possibility? Maybe that's not the truth. And then we start to open that up into a wave. So the thought in my head that defined me as not lovable, that I've been thinking since I was 12 years old, when it shifted, it opened me up to a whole nother possibility. For 14 years, I've been with my David, who is the love of my life, who I know adores me. And that's because I'm willing to think that and know that for the truth for myself, right? So, thinking the thought doesn't mean that the thought is true. Is that possible? Can you buy into that? Okay. So, going back to finding where that thought came from is a way for us to help cure, to heal what's going on in our lives. So when I came into a situation, I met with, I'm a partner with a different company, and we were meeting with some important people on Thursday. And I got the call at the last minute. It's like 3:30. Hey, Rachel, we're meeting with these people at 5:30. I went, oh, okay. Ah. And then I thought, my brain goes, oh my God, you're so not ready for this. What if you make a bad impression? What if you say the wrong thing? What if this isn't going to go well and it's all your fault? And then I went, that's just a thought. That's not reality. Reality is this could be huge. This could take our company to a whole new level. That's exciting. Let's look at that possibility. So we went to dinner. It was a great dinner. We got along really well. They're all involved. They're all for moving forward with us. And they've sent us paperwork, I got it this morning, to do a collaboration. Possibilities, right? So, my challenge to you is this week, when you are doing whatever you're doing and you encounter something that makes you anxious, sad, scared, or just not positive, I want you to think about what thought you just had. And then think, is that the truth? And if it's possible that there may be another truth. One more example. Walking down the hall, I'm sure you've had this experience. Someone walks by and you go, hey, Sally. And Sally just walks by. And you think to yourself, boy, Sally is really rude, or Sally's really mad at me. Now, we have no idea what's going on with Sally. She just walked by. We have no idea. But my thought was, she doesn't like me. Or she's mad at me. Why? Is that the truth? I don't know if it's the truth. I just made it up. But the reality is maybe she's got earbuds in her ears and she's listening, or she's on a telephone call and she walks by and I just took it personal. Happens, doesn't it? Have you ever had somebody say to you, why are you mad at me? And you're like, I'm not mad at you. I don't know what you're talking about. It happens. So ask the question. And that takes us back to the teachings of science of mind, right? Because we have our teaching symbol. And of course, the top part, as we know, is what we'll call the seed. It's love, it's God, it's energy, it's thought. In the middle, we have our our soil. And that soil is that creative law. That is the intelligence of the universe. It doesn't care what you put in the soil. It's impersonal. It just simply says, yes, yes. You put in, I'm not enough, it goes, yes. You put in, I'm everything in the whole world, it goes, yes. It don't care. And then at the bottom, we have the plant, the results, the effects of what it is that we've just planted. So planting our intentions, a lot of us might go, But I planted the intention of a defining love. That's the intention. But is it? Because if you have those thoughts of, I'm not enough, or this is going to end badly, or I feel awkward when I'm talking to people, those are intentions being planted into the soil. A lot of that happens subconsciously or unconsciously. We don't know we're doing it. But when we become aware and we understand that what we're planting is all of those thoughts that have emotion behind it, those are the seeds. Now you have the power to go, I'm not liking the results. What do I have control over? And what do we have control over? Thoughts. Thoughts. We control our thoughts. So pay attention and know that we're planting our intentions every time we have an emotional thought. Good, bad, right, wrong, doesn't matter. It's being planted. Make sense? Okay. You're welcome. So we have an affirmation for today. And it is, I plant my intentions with love and trust, rooted in gratitude. They blossom as they must. Okay, let's all stand up. And we're going to say it 3 times. And each time we say it, let's take it another emotional up, up, up. Okay? So ready? 1, 2, 3. I plant my intention with love and trust, rooted in gratitude. They bloom as they must. I plant my intention with love and trust, rooted in gratitude. They bloom as they must. One more time. Plant my intentions with love and trust, rooted in gratitude. They blossom as they must. Nice. Okay, go and have a seat. I'll do a prayer now. Knowing that God is all there is, that there is only one thing happening right here and right now, and that is the energy and love and life and blossoming of God. That I am of and from and in and as this universal energy that I call God is, as is everyone in this room and that is watching online. So in the truth of this, I declare right here and right now that I am aware of my thought. I am aware of what is happening in my mind, in my consciousness, and I course correct. In this moment, I course correct. In this moment, I course correct. And I lead myself to the divine life that I am meant to lead, that I am blossoming into the flower that I am, that I plant the seeds that lead me, that blossom into who I am. And for this, I am so very grateful. Gratitude leads me, guides me, and knowing this is the truth, I say thank you. And I release my word to the law, knowing it is done, done, done. And together we affirm by saying, and so it is. Amen. Ashe aho. Okay. Oh, well, thank you. Okay, so our next thing here is our song. Yeah.